Naoya Inoue got into a little bit of trouble before his fight against Alan David Picasso at the weekend. He got into some hot water about his hand wraps. Again, this is starting to become a bit of a theme in his career. We saw the same against Stephen Fulton, I think 2 or 3 years ago. I'm going to do my best to break it down and try and explain what happened here. I'll do my best. I do also have to mention that this video falls under fair use because I'm reacting to it and I'm giving my own input on the video. First of all, you can clearly see a piece of tape on Inoue's hand. This piece of tape is allowed and the commissioner says it's allowed.
That's the only tape on bare skin. You go with gauze and then you finish with tape.
Gauze, tape, wrapping, tape.
Yeah.
You heard the commissioner say there, that's the only piece of tape on Inoue's hand. That piece of tape, that's fine. That's the only piece that's allowed. Now you go with gauze and you finish with tape. And you hear a member of Inoue's team say, gauze, tape, wrapping, tape. And then he says, yep.
Okay, but it's not tape, gauze, tape, gauze, tape, gauze. You can't do that.
Gauze, tape.
The commissioner is explaining to Inoue and Inoue's team that they are not allowed to stack Inoue's hand wraps. What stacking is when you put on tape and gauze, then tape, then gauze, then tape, then gauze, what happens is the hand wrap becomes like a cast. A cast-like effect happens to the hand wraps where your punches become more powerful and the hand wraps become less about protecting your hands and it actually becomes more like an offensive weapon to make your punches stronger and thus hurt your opponent more. So that's what the commissioner was explaining to Inoue and Inoue's team here. Stacking is legal in Japan and Nevada. Where does Inoue primarily fight? He primarily fights in Japan, and he recently fought in Nevada, where stacking is allowed. This fight was in Saudi Arabia, so the commissioner is just trying to make sure that everyone's clear on the rules of hand wraps. So after talking about stacking with Inoue's team, Inoue follows up the tape by wrapping with gauze as usual, and he keeps looking towards this second commissioner, and he keeps saying to them, he keeps trying to make sure that they're doing everything right and they're following all the rules.
Yes, after this. Yes, he's right. Yes.
Inoue then explains in his own way, trying to understand how to wrap his hands properly. He explains in his own way how he's going to wrap his hands or how he should wrap his hands. And the commissioner, who I assume does not speak fluent Japanese, points at Inoue, and you saw it there, he says, yes, he understands, he knows. Bear in mind, these guys are having to communicate through 3 different languages, English, Spanish, and Japanese, so they're trying their absolute best to communicate as best as they can, so good on them. Unfortunately, the guy wrapping Inoue's hands starts putting more tape on Inoue's hand wrap over the gauze before they put the bandage on. The second commissioner should have noticed this and he should have stopped Inoue's team member from doing this, but he didn't do it. Picasso's team were not happy, and so they brought back the original commissioner and he had to try and straighten everything out again.
It's very simple. 3 strips of tape, gauze, and you finish with tape. That's it.
Now, this is where absolute mass confusion happens. They start talking about the rule meeting they had. Japanese lady is arguing with the commissioner. This ponytail guy is arguing with Picasso's team member. And they're all speaking Spanish, Japanese, English. And it's just a complete mess over one piece of tape at the end of the day. It's not that deep. But I guess, in boxing you got to try and get every advantage you can. That's just the way the game's played. Everything's got to be nailed to a T. But, even the guy with the ponytail, the Japanese guy with the ponytail, he says Picasso's bosses were happy with this. That's what he says.
So, Team Picasso is said okay, the boss is fine.
So, once all the confusion is settled, eventually the second commissioner, he re-explains how to wrap the hands. Gauze, then you put the bandage on, gauze again, and then you finish with tape.
These gauze.
Yes.
Okay, gauze. After using these gauze.
Yes.
Okay. And then putting this one on the top. Again, gauze. Okay.
Finish tape.
Tape. Done.
Okay. Finish tape.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to be honest, I do have to put blame on this second commissioner for the misconfusion because he was listening to Inoue explain to him what Inoue thought the process was in wrapping the hands, and Inoue was explaining it in Japanese, and the commissioner was was just assuming that Inoue was right. He was just interpreting Inoue's words in a language that the second commissioner doesn't speak, Japanese. He doesn't speak it, clearly. That's why they got a woman translating between English and Japanese. But I think he explained it much better the second time because he actually showed them, gauze. He puts the bandage on his own hand, then you wrap it again with gauze, and then you finish with tape. Done. Much better job the second time, but then he starts trying to put blame on Inoue for this, which that's a bit of a douche move if you ask me, because he says, no, Inoue understood the first time when we explained it 5 minutes ago.
He understood that. He understood.
In the room meeting?
Yeah, no. Now, when he explained to you like 5 minutes before, he explained to you that one. He understood that.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah, just you can ask for him.
You can even hear the woman saying, no, I don't think he understood. I don't think he understood. And the second commissioner, he's kind of insinuated that Inoue wanted to cheat. I mean, basically, that's what he's saying. He's saying Inoue understood the rules of hand wrapping and did it wrong anyway. That's basically what he's saying there. Which, I don't know, man. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. But, weird situation. It's hard dealing with 3 languages. And when you only understand one, maybe you understand Spanish, I don't know. I didn't see him speak Spanish, but the first commissioner did. And I think the first commissioner should have just stayed there in the first place, honestly. I don't think he should have left. So, that's just my explanation and thought process of what happened here. Inoue still won, so it doesn't really matter, because, he's the best in the world, pound for pound. If you want to argue about that, argue with Ring Magazine, don't argue with me. But, hey-ho, is what it is. They sorted it out in the end. Inoue won. And just thought I'd give a quick explanation of what happened, so there it is. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.